A cue grip technique that gives you stability and confidence is massively important if you want to pop balls consistently. Get this right to start off with and the performance and huge breaks will follow. This is Break From Life. Welcome back, and if this is the first time you've watched one of our videos, then it's fantastic to have you here. How you hold a cue is massively important. If you do this poorly or inconsistently, then the most basic shots can seem quite difficult. Let's start by looking at the bridge hand, because if this is wobbling all over the place, you're going to be struggling no matter what you do. First thing you want to do is make sure you place your hand flat on the table, bring your knuckles up, and you're really gripping the cloth so you don't slide. Now once you've done this, all you've got to do really is bring your thumb in and you're good to go. And if we put the cue across here, what you don't want to do is let your thumb slip away. I remember when I started playing snooker, I'd automatically move my thumb if I thought I was going to miss a shot to try and realign it. And you really don't want to be doing this because you will be really inconsistent at potting balls. You really just want to keep everything still. Having a good technique will allow you to play shots like in our video Impossible Snooker Shot Made Easy. Give these a go if you can play them. And if you're checking this out on our channel page or our other videos that will help you dominate at the game, then why not make the commitment to becoming a better player and subscribing to the channel. The cue grip is one of the most important areas of the game and a lot can go wrong with it. To start off with, most people hold the cue right at the end and this isn't always ideal. Now when you hold the cue, ideally you want to place it right in the palm of your hand there. If I unscrew my cue, it'll be a lot easier to show you. So ideally you want to place the cue in the palm of your hand and get as much of your hand around the cue wrapped fairly tight as possible. Now the problem with this is you can also hold it in your fingers like this, and there's a little ridge of skin between your fingers and your hand, and ideally you want to be gripping it in your fingers like this as well as the palm of your hand. And the trouble is, if you just hold it in your fingers, you end up leaving this gap and this ridge of skin can get in the way. So what you want to do is be able to wrap the entire hand around the cue in a way that takes advantage of both holding it in your fingers and the palm of your hand. So when you've got as much of your hand around the cue as possible and your cue is up to the white, your arm should be straight down when you're up to the white like that. So when your cue is touching, well, nearly touching the white, your arm should be straight down. This will allow you to optimize both the backswing and the follow through. What you don't want to do when you cue up to a shot like this is have your tip too far away from the cue ball, and if you do, adjust your arm accordingly. Otherwise you'll find you've used up most of your cue action before you've actually hit the ball, and this is also a lot less accurate. Another thing a lot of people get wrong when they're playing off cushions, for example, is they don't adjust the position of their hand on the cue, and this will mean that their hand will be too far back, like this shot for example, and you don't end up playing the shot properly. Just make sure you keep adjusting the position your hand is on the cue depending on how much cue is coming off your bridge, and if this is different from normal you need to adjust it. Like on this really lengthened shot, I'm holding the cue right at the back. It's important to have a firm grip but not grip the cue too tightly like this, where it will make your entire arm rock and your muscles go tense. Also, sometimes I hold the cue too loose like this and you almost let it go. You don't want to do this either. A useful tip at this stage, as you go down onto the shot, is to push your elbows outwards. This can allow you to feel like you've got better balance on the shot, and this should result in a nice straight smooth cue action. The most important advice in the entire video is getting your wrists right. This is critical to being able to play a snooker shot properly. So we're gripping the cue all the way round, and ideally you want to know what position to put your thumb and finger in. Now the wrist angle, you ideally want it to be straight. You don't want to be doing any of this, but I know a lot of people play the game like this. Now that's all right so long as it's consistent, and the more of an angle your wrist's at, the harder it is to be consistent. Another very important piece of advice is to keep your fingers on the cue as you play the shot. As you watch from the back here, my fingers are opening up to allow my cue to play the shot in a flat and straight plane, but they are staying in contact with the cue at all times, and this will massively affect your game if you take your fingers off the cue at this stage. So you want a solid bridge, a straight arm, and you want a consistent position for your wrist, and you want to make sure that your fingers and as much of your hand as possible stays in contact with the cue for as long as possible. If you get all this right, the only thing that can let you down is your stance. And if you want to know how to stand in snooker, then why not try our video, How to Stand in Snooker? Or if you're looking for a basic, simple way to clear the colours that anybody can do, then try our video, How to Clear the Colours. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel. See you later.